Hi everybody, I want to talk about our last press release, which we announced we did a 3D modelization of the Grondin Zone. The Grondin Zone is one of the sections we've been drilling along the antiform Saddle Reef structure. We were able to trace the Saddle Reef structure for many kilometers, but we've been focusing drilling on one section where we did our first discovery of gold in the outcrop of the Grondin Zone. This is the first time we're able to have a 3D model of what we've been drilling in, and to do that, we first had to digitalize all our drill data, all the geology that we've accumulated for all my geologist field notes, all had to be somehow digitalized, and then we uploaded it into a Leapfrog software. It's a very popular, commonly used 3D geology structure software and analysis. Been around for many decades. Now it's even added some really nice AI features to it, which was pretty cool. So what does it show? It shows us just the gold-bearing structure part of the Saddle Reef. Now, a quick resume of the Saddle Reef, if you've seen the press release or been to our website or the presentation. The Saddle Reef is a model we came up with that seems to describe what's happening in the Beauce. In part, also where the placer gold, which is 2 kilometers down valley, that form the placer deposit. So the geology in the area, it's just sandwich layering of volcanic and sedimentary rock, and then the geology, everything got folded. So you see these bell-shaped curves formations. What a Saddle Reef means is that along the axis, the center part of that bell curve, it's where there was fluidization, where the stress marks. That's the explanation. What people like to explain to the geologists told me is that if you take a ruler and you bend it, well, the stress marks that for the white parts, the stress marks that form in the middle, that's what's been happening as far as geology goes. So in the axis of those folds, there was stress. There was called it's called a breccia, geology terms. It's a breccia, and from that there was a fluidization which created the crack and seal formation, the stockwork, which basically concentrated the gold within the rock of Lapidary and Phelps rock. So that's what encapsulates the gold. So that's what we've been drilling, and the model shows that we have a very well-defined, tight structure. You go outside the structure, there's no gold. Stay within the structure, you have gold. So what's nice is that we've been very successful in following the structure. Kudos to Jean, our geologist. The discovery was made by a bus-size outcrop. That's hence the Grondin Zone on Mr. Grondin's property. The outcrop was sampled. We got up to 10 grams per ton just by sampling it. We also were able to get some nice gold grains from the outcrop, from the bedrock, the outcrop, and the grains and surrounding material and other tracer indicators points that this could be one of the sources for the placer deposit down valley 2 kilometers below. So about the structure, what we know now that it confirms that it's a very tightly controlled structure and we can follow it laterally. And we followed it for 600 meters, and it's been so far it's mineralized for 600 meters. But we only did very shallow depth drilling, so we only followed it down to 40 meters. That's nothing in exploration geology terms. I mean, drill holes typically go down hundreds of meters. So what this means is that it's open. What that means is that we can assume that the structure goes further laterally on each side of it. So we got to keep drilling laterally, and also at depth. We only have 30 meters at depth. Also, what we're looking for is that if we follow Saddle Reef models around the world, tend to be high-grade models. Not the whole system, but it tends to form right within the different layering of the bell shape. In Saddle Reef, that's where you typically find pockets of where gold was accumulated. So there should be. What we're looking for are possibly to have high-grade pockets within the axis of the antiform. So we have to keep drilling into the axis of that antiform. And that's what we're going to do. We're just going to keep at it. And another fun part of this model is that, we always wonder, well, how does our drilling compare to our peers in Canada? And it's nice because, as we say in the press release, there are examples of that, and there are industry averages which have been made. So for an early stage exploration project, if 20 to 40% of your drill holes hit gold, that's considered typical. The average, if you're doing 50% or more, that's highly successful. 88%, what do I mean by 80%? How we come to that is that we drilled 16 holes on the Grondin Zone. 14 of the 16 holes came up with high gold anomalies of 300 ppbs or more, up to 11 grams. So that makes it an 88% hit ratio, which is outstanding. So what it says that we're on the right track, keep drilling laterally, drill at depth, and again, 88% drill hole hit rate is just outstanding in this industry. We're onto something very good, and we're going to keep at it.